My fucking wife cheated on me. Stay tuned to see what happens.
My wife kissed another man on a night out. I wasn't bothered by it. So now she is ruining my life by constantly saying I must be gay and cheating on her. A bit of context. I, 41M, have been with my wife, 41F, since we were 18, but we never had a great bedroom life after the first year, maybe once or twice a year of bedroom intimacy at most since then. At the moment, it's been almost 3 years of no action, and although it bothers me, I love her and our kids, so I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. I know plenty of friends in the same situation. Another bit of context is that I've always been mildly overweight but still fit, as I played a lot of sports until about 10 years ago when I got really ill. A mixture of meds and comfort eating made me balloon up to nearly 300 pounds. Well, 2 years ago, I decided to do something about it, and now I'm around 200 pounds, which at 6 feet 2 inches is the lightest I've been as an adult. I've actually enjoyed using weights, and for the first time in my life, I have a bit of abs and some muscle. My wife, having always been far more attractive, is pretty obviously insecure about the fact that, for the first time since we've been together, women are starting to look at me and message me on my baking pages on social media. For the record, I've never even looked at another woman in that way. On to the night in question, my wife went out with some friends, a mix of single and in relationship friends. She looked stunning, and I told her so. I even updated my phone's home screen to that picture of her, lol. One of the friends she was out with messaged me about 3 months ago, and the gist was that she knows I get no action. My wife doesn't realize how lucky she is, and basically asked if I wanted to hook up. I obviously took a screenshot and instantly sent it to my wife. Around 4 a.m., my wife gets home, and she wakes me up as she gets into bed. I'm half awake but can tell something is wrong, so I ask what the matter is. She doesn't say anything for a few seconds, and as I go to grab her hand, she pulls away. I ask if she wants me to get her a drink, and she says no. Then she just blurts it out and says, "I met a guy tonight. He kissed me." I didn't kiss back at first, but then I did. Then for the next half hour, we were dancing and constantly kissing. She kept saying sorry and begging me not to leave her. My honest first reaction was, so what? It's only kissing and dancing. I didn't say that, I just hugged her and tried to calm her down. An hour or so later, once I found the right words, I said, "I know you feel really guilty, but please don't. I'm not going to leave you and break up our family over some kissing and dancing. I don't love you any less than I did yesterday, and this isn't something that's going to grow and cause resentment." More or less right on cue, my phone goes off, and it's that friend of hers with a picture and a video of what my wife was doing. This set my wife off again, but my feelings still haven't changed, and a month later, that remains the case. In the months since then, my wife has accused me of not loving her because I didn't care. She's accused me of kissing other people and more, saying that I didn't care because I was covering up my own indiscretions. She's also accused me of being gay multiple times, which doesn't make sense. She keeps asking why I haven't initiated anything with her, even though in the past, she's told me she hates being touched and not to ever try anything with her, which I have respected. She's basically projecting, and it's annoying me as it's putting a strain on us, which she is 100% causing. How do I get through to her that she needs to stop feeling guilty and just move on because I have, as it's not a big deal? I was genuinely more annoyed when she broke my baking bowl and tried to blame it on the cat, lol. Edit. Hi all, I just wanted to say thank you so much for taking the time to respond to me. I really do appreciate it, and I'm overwhelmed that you all took the time. I keep getting asked a few questions, so I thought I'd address them here. Over the years, we have been to a few different couples counselors and bedroom therapists, the latest being last September for both. My wife always feels like she's being victimized by them, and we end up stopping. Nearly all have said they think she is asexual, with 2 even saying she is displaying a lot of signs of being a closeted lesbian, which I have brought up to her before, but she is adamant that she's not. On that note, I've received a lot of messages suggesting that she wants to feel wanted and that I should be more forward with her. This is not true. In all our sessions, she has said she doesn't want me trying anything with her, she doesn't even want me to initiate hugs, and just bringing up bedroom intimacy makes her feel pressured. She made it clear to me and our therapist that if she ever has bedroom intimacy without her initiating it, it will be no more than pity smashing. As for those saying I don't love her, I buy her flowers every Friday on the way home from work, I bake her favorite cookies or cupcakes every weekend, I send her voice notes of songs I'm listening to that remind me of her, I tell her I love her every day, and I run her a bath every night. This isn't me showing off, this is how I was brought up to show love, for those suggesting I must have been raised in an unloving home. People have said that if I don't get jealous, I don't love her. If she told me she was having an emotional affair, spending hours on the phone with someone else, laughing and joking, snuggling on a sofa eating chocolates and watching TV with someone, I'd be devastated. But a dance and a kiss isn't a big deal to me and isn't even close to something that would lead to divorce. Thank you all again for reading. Edit. It's 7 a.m. now, the day after I posted this. I've been talking to my wife since 6, and I told her she has a week to agree to go back to couples counseling, and this time, she has to stick it out and not just accuse them of taking sides and refuse to go back. She said no. She said they all bully her and make her out to be the bad guy. She said I went back on my word that I forgive her and won't resent her. I said this isn't about the kiss, it's about her reaction since the kiss and that it feels like she's purposely trying to drive me away and make me leave her. She just got up and stormed out of the room. She then got dressed and said she's going out until I go to work. Update 112 days later. It's been nearly 2 weeks since I made the post, and the short update is that we are getting divorced. In my last post, I mentioned that I asked her to go back to couples counseling and bedroom therapy. She said no to both, as we had gone before and she felt bullied. At bedroom therapy, she stated that unless she initiates any touching, not just bedroom intimacy, but any physical contact like hugs or hand-holding, it will be against her will and will be forced or pity affection from her. The bedroom therapist said that was very unreasonable, which is why she felt bullied there. I also tried to ask her a few questions. Are you a lesbian or at least bi? Don't be stupid. Are you asexual? I'm not a teenager with a stupid label. What did he have that I don't? Nothing, I just wanted to do it. Why don't you ever want to do that with me? Don't know. What can I do to make you want to do that with me? Don't know. Do you want me to take the initiative and try it on with you more? Hell no, I'll tell you when I want it, don't guess. So, she refused the therapy and gave me no straight answers. She also said I've gone back on my word about not letting the kiss split us up, claiming that now it is. I explained that it's not the kiss but her behavior since then that has made me want a divorce. She said that since it's my decision to divorce and it's all my fault, I should be the one to tell our kids, and she wants no part of it. That was hard. As soon as the kids were told, my wife left for her sisters, and in the 3 days since, I haven't heard anything from her. I've tried speaking to her about the kids because they miss her, but she reads my messages and ignores me. A lot of people asked about the friend and why they still talk after she tried it on with me. From what I understand, my wife tried to get the friend group to cut her out, but they all pretty much refused, so my wife just chose to ignore her in group settings. On the night in question, the friend approached my wife and told her that if she didn't tell me, she would send me the video. So, my wife didn't tell me because she felt guilty, but because she was forced to. I've also spoken to a couple of other friends in the group and asked what's been going on that I'm not privy to. Apparently, my wife was dirty texting one of her friend's boyfriends a couple of years ago. My wife has also been boasting about how she has me under her thumb, how she gets away with giving me nothing, and how I'm too scared to ask for anything. The friend apparently saw me out shopping one day and decided I was now more smashable and thought she'd try to exact some revenge on my wife. So, she didn't really want me, I was just a pawn in this weird friend group's many internal beefs with each other, which I've found out about in the last few days. Basically, they all seem to hate each other and mess with each other's partners. I'll be honest now, and I feel incredibly guilty about it, but when she left, my body and soul seemed to take a massive sigh of relief. It was like a black cloud that was dripping eggshells on the floor for me to constantly avoid has gone. I feel terrible for feeling this way, but I feel like I'm at my full 6 feet 2 inches height now, rather than a browbeaten 3-foot person who was scared to even say anything for fear of being told I'm wrong, insulted, or ridiculed. It's like the blinkers have been taken off. I spent the day today baking with my kids, eating Easter eggs, and watching cartoons, and I haven't stopped smiling all day. I haven't winced or broken out in a sweat worrying I'm about to be told off for being too noisy, watching the wrong thing on TV, or leaving a wrapper on the floor, etc. Thank you everyone for your support on my last post. I appreciate you all. Update 2 1 week later. After my last update, a lot of people commented and messaged me, asking if I was sure my kids are mine. This thought had never entered my head until I read what people said. Last Thursday, I ordered a paternity test, sent it on Friday, and I'm now awaiting the results. At this point, I don't really care, it won't change my love for them, but I'm terrified that if they come back as not biologically mine, I'll lose them. I discussed this with my lawyer last week, who said that if they aren't mine, it will be much, much harder to get any kind of custody. I told him that if it comes to that, I'll keep fighting until the end. Blood or not, they are my boys. Speaking of the boys, my soon-to-be ex has seen them a couple of times with her mom, who is genuinely a nice person, and the kids have been fine. I can't say the same about my baking equipment, though. She came into the house last Friday when she knew I was out, took a lot of it, and purposely broke some items she knew had sentimental value to me, which came from my grandma and my mom. I can't prove she did anything, and she brought the stuff back on Sunday, claiming she just borrowed the items. I love baking, and she is slowly ruining it for me. I had already deleted my Instagram page because she was insecure about the women who followed me, and this time, she must have remembered I was making a cake for my niece's birthday and tried to sabotage it. I've made notes and screenshots of everything. As many of you rightly predicted, she had also been cheating on me a lot, although there's no evidence yet that it was physical from what I can tell. Her friend, who is also in this WhatsApp group where women basically just post intimate pics of themselves and men comment, sent me a lot more screenshots of photos she's taken, all around our house, blatantly in our bedroom in some of them, and even one standing against my car. Also, a few of these friends are single, and when they hook up with someone, my wife will add the guy on Facebook and has basically been offering herself to them. One of the friends messaged one of the guys who still had the chats in his Facebook DMs and sent the friend a load of screenshots to pass on to me. All in all, I must have over 100 screenshots of stuff she's been saying and sending to people, and all of it is within the last couple of years, so it probably goes back even further. As for the divorce, it's still in the early stages. Some days I want to fight, and other days I just want to give her everything, materially, not the kids, and walk away to start fresh, just so I can get this over with. Edit. I got the DNA results, and my sons are mine. Update 2 months later. I have moved back to my hometown and given my ex the house. I know people won't be happy with that, but I just wanted a clean break and no ties to her or that city. The kids are with me, and they see their mom on weekends, provided I make the 5-hour round trip to drop them off on Saturday morning and then make the same trip Sunday afternoon to pick them up. I know, again, people will say I'm doing what she wants, but if it makes my kids happy, it makes me happy. She seems okay with this arrangement, although she has flaked twice already. Once the kids say they no longer want to go, I won't take them. The divorce is still going through but won't be done for a few more months yet, according to my lawyer. I'm baking a lot more now and loving it. Thank you to everyone who has thought about me, you are all so great. Update for 1.5 months later. My ex-wife messaged me yesterday, saying she no longer wants to see our 2 kids and is happy to give them away in our divorce. For context, my ex-wife said it was too far for her to travel to have them on weekends, so every Saturday morning, I've been driving them up to her and then picking them back up Sunday evening so they could see their mom. We'd make fun trips out of it, we'd take snacks, play audiobooks, have sing-alongs, etc., but I noticed they always seemed happier to be picked up than taken there. I just assumed it was because all their stuff and their main home was with me. My ex has started to cancel these weekends a bit recently, 3 of the last 5, she's cancelled. She's started saying things like, they don't like me anyway, and, you've poisoned them, which is not true. I have never said a bad word about their mom to them or in front of them, and I never would. Plus, I make 2 4-hour round trips every weekend so she can see them and they can see her. I'll be honest, every Saturday after I drop them off, I cry all the way home. I miss them so much. They are my little best mates. Every night after dinner, we all do our chores and then do a different activity together. Sometimes it's a walk in the woods behind my house, or we bake, have movie nights, or read books together. I'm quite good with my hands and love making and fixing things, whether it's baking, cooking, DIY, or car repairs, and they have started to take an interest too. We have a couple of projects on the go, like building a kind of Wendy house for them, but it will have games consoles, a fridge for their drinks and snacks, etc. Plus, we're also building a couple of petrol go-karts from scratch for them to race at a nearby track when they're done, which they are designing themselves and we're building together. Basically, my life is taken up with them during the week, and then on the weekends, I feel like a lost zombie until it's time to go get them. Then yesterday, I received a short text from her saying she no longer wants to see them, that all they do is ask for me anyway, they don't have fun there, and they basically get in the way. I was absolutely heartbroken for my boys, and I called her straight away. I'll be honest, I started crying because I felt so bad for them, and she genuinely acted like I was annoying her for wanting to get to the bottom of it. She then said, sounds like you don't want them either and are just trying to palm them off at the weekends, and hung up on me. I don't even know how I'm going to tell them this. Do I just say she's cancelled for a few weeks and see how it goes? Do I tell them the truth? How do I say it in a way that kids will understand and that won't absolutely crush them? Then I've got the conflicting, selfish emotion of pure joy that I'll have the whole weekends with them. It's so selfish of me, I know, as they are going to be sad while I'm happy. Has anyone been in a similar situation, from my side or the kids' side? How do I handle this? Update 1 month later. So, as far as her giving up her parental rights, it's a lot harder than I thought. Both my lawyer and hers have told me that it's difficult to do this in the UK, and neither of them has seen a judge allow it unless there is a risk of physical or intimate harm to the children. However, they've also said they've never presented a case like this to a judge where both parties fully agree to it. They've drafted an agreement where we both agree that my ex-wife will no longer have responsibilities toward our children, including financially. Now, we're just waiting to get a court date, but they said that could be months away. On to the hardest part, telling my kids. To be honest, I haven't done it yet. For the first couple of weeks, I just told them that mom had cancelled again when they asked, and my eldest, in particular, seemed pretty relieved each time. Last weekend, they didn't even ask, it's been over a month now since they've seen her. My eldest has also told me that he doesn't like going there anyway because all she does is sleep and shout. The other day, he mentioned that he prefers his new house and feels more relaxed here. I feel terrible, as I was obviously missing signs before that he wasn't fully happy when we were together as a family. At least he's more comfortable now. I had a bit of a wobble last night with my youngest. He was watching The Land Before Time, and then he started saying he misses his mom and began crying. It was full-blown tears and a complete breakdown, and it was awful to see. While I was holding him, I started crying too, but I made sure he couldn't see. I didn't say anything bad about his mom or tell him that she doesn't want to see him anymore. I just hugged him, stroked his hair, and told him I'll always be here for him. I reassured him that he can always come to me if he's upset, happy, or just wants to be silly, and that I'll never push him away. Once they were in bed, I was in pieces. I blamed myself for leaving their mom, questioning why I couldn't be stronger and just live with it for a few more years until they were adults. It was me who left. It's me who's made them drive up and down the country every weekend, unsettling them and uprooting their lives. At 2 a.m. this morning, I drafted a text to my wife asking her to get back together and to be a mom again. Luckily, I didn't send it. I got about 3 hours of sleep, but I feel better this morning. None of her family have been in touch either, to try and maintain a relationship with the boys. It's horrible, to be honest, but they are the ones missing out on these two amazing kids. One of her cousins messages me every so often, but she asks more about me than the kids, so that either feels like an ulterior motive or a trap, which I'm not falling into. As for my divorce, my lawyer has said it should hopefully be finalized before Christmas. Not that it'll make much difference. I don't wear my ring, and she has a new 20-year-old boyfriend, not the guy she cheated with. Still, it will be nice to finally be able to say ex-wife and have it be official.
My best friend's mom came over with a little girl and demanded that my partner start taking responsibility for his affair child now that my best friend has passed away. The past 6 months have been an absolute mess, and it only seems to be getting worse. My 33F best friend since elementary school, who I'll call Alice, passed away in February from cancer. She had a 2-year-old daughter who went into the custody of her mom, who I'll call Alexis, after she passed away. Last month, Alexis showed up on our doorstep unannounced, telling my husband, 36M, he needs to take responsibility for his child and either take custody or start paying child support. She says that Alice had told her who the father was when her daughter was born, but she didn't want anything to do with him. To answer the inevitable question, Alice was a traveling nurse and made a lot of money, which is the only reason I can think of for why she didn't pursue child support. During this conversation, my husband had the worst panic attack he's ever had, so we had to end the discussion before I could get more details. My husband's story is, I don't even know. He said that Alice's daughter is probably his, but that it isn't what I think. Almost 3 years ago, we threw a large housewarming party as we just moved into our dream home after I finally finished residency and was set to make real money for once. Alice was in town and was set to be at the party, but I was called into work before she got there. I didn't get back until after 3 a.m. The party was winding down, my husband was passed out upstairs, and Alice had already left the party, which I did find strange at the time, as we hadn't seen each other in months. My husband claims he woke up in the middle of the night to find Alice on top of him, but he passed out again before he could say anything. He claims he never told me because he was worried I wouldn't believe him, which I'm not sure I do. He showed me some texts he sent to his best friend the next day, asking for advice about thinking someone raped him, but if he cheated, he could have used that conversation as evidence, especially since he never mentioned Alice specifically. Ever since the party, he has been very distant with Alice, and after she had her daughter, he would even find excuses not to be around the house when she would visit. I don't know if that's because he cheated or if Alice actually did rape him and this was his trauma response. Honestly, I don't know what to do. I've known Alice since we were children, and she never came across as that kind of person. But I've also known my husband for over a decade, and he's never once given any indication of being a cheater. He's an attractive guy, and I've seen the looks he gets at the gym, but he's never given more than a glance. What the hell should I do? How do I figure out what the truth is here when Alice isn't even around to defend herself? She never even implied she liked my husband, let alone wanted to sleep with him. I told my husband he needs to get a DNA test before anything is decided regarding the child, but in the meantime, he needs to move out while I think about what I'm going to do. Commenter. I don't know you or your marriage, but I think I would be inclined to believe and support my husband with a few details you've given. Do you think Alice would take to the grave that she had an affair, or that she raped your husband? Ops response. I hadn't thought about it like that, actually, thank you, that's a good point. She always thought I could do better than him, so if it was an affair, you'd think she would have told me during her last days at the hospital at least. Commenter. Wait, I get that you need to process all this, but you've told the potential victim of SA that he needs to leave his home, his safe place, and you, his safe person. I think you've jumped the horse a bit here and shunned your life mate who may have been raped. Ops response. Yes, I'm starting to realize I've made a terrible mistake. Update one same day a couple hours later. After talking with you, I've come to the realization that my husband is being truthful. My best friend raped him. Several people pointed out that with Alice not liking my husband, if it had been an affair, she would have told me when she was dying, if only to separate us. You're absolutely right. I was there in the room while she passed. I held her hands for days, we talked about so much. If it had just been an affair, she would have told me. But if she raped my husband, she wouldn't have said a word. That's the type of thing horrible people take to the grave. I've also realized that I made a terrible mistake asking my husband to leave for a few days while I gather my thoughts. Not to make excuses, but losing my best friend to cancer, a long fight with cancer at that, was brutal. To say that I was devastated wouldn't do it justice. It happened only 6 months ago, and I'm still feeling it every day. So to have this thrown on me? It's like I'm losing her all over again. Either she betrayed me and slept with my husband, or she betrayed me and raped my husband. Not only have I lost her, but now I've lost the good memories, an entire lifetime's worth. It was impossible for me to look at him and not also see her, and be struck with the horror and realization of that loss all over again. I felt I needed to be able to break down, grieve, and think without the fresh wave of loss that hit me every time I saw him. It was wrong of me to ask him to leave, you're right, and as of a few minutes ago, I've righted this wrong. I called my husband, apologized, told him I believe him, and begged him to come home. He'll be here in half an hour at most, and I'm going to support my husband the way I know he would have supported me. I've been an off and on Reddit user for several years, and sometimes the advice given on subreddits like these can be a bit hit or miss, but today, you guys did good. You've helped me realize not only that I was wrong and being stupid at that, but that I was hurting the person who needed me the most. I was selfish. I have no idea what we're going to do as far as the potential daughter is concerned, but I can assure you we'll deal with it together. It's going to take a lot of time, and probably a lot of therapy, to grieve this new loss. I feel numb now, as though I'll never cry again. My best friend raped my husband, which means she was no friend of mine. She flaunted it, coming to my house, sitting with me, and chatting. She brought her child here, trying to rub it in his face, right in front of me. She tortured the man I love, and I was an unknowing party to it. I feel sick to my stomach over how many times she came over, just to hold it over him. I'm honestly at a loss as to how to make that up to him. If you all have any ideas, please feel free to share them. I think I'll need all the help I can get. Tomorrow, I'm going to take a leave of absence from work, just until we can figure out our next steps and get our heads on straight. Thank you, everyone. I just found my husband's secret naughty box, and I'm horrified to have found pictures of me from when I was a teenager.
What?
I, 26F, found out that my husband, 27M, has been keeping a secret box of mementos on the top shelf of our closet, and I don't know what to do about it or if I should even bring it up. I honestly don't know how the hell I'm supposed to talk about this. I genuinely am in disbelief. So, for some backstory, my husband, let's call him Lee, and I have been together since our sophomore year in high school. We were each other's first everythings, and for the most part, I feel like we honestly have a picturesque marriage. I'm currently 5 months pregnant with our first child and have taken it upon myself to DIY the guest bedroom into a nursery. To do that, I wanted to sort through the stuff in there and get rid of anything unnecessary. I think it's relevant to say that I'm pretty short, 5 feet 2 inches, so I don't really store things up high since I can't reach them, but my husband is a foot taller than me, so he doesn't have this tendency. This is how I found the memento box on the top shelf. It was just a plain cardboard box, so I didn't think much of it at first, but since I didn't remember putting it up there, I wanted to see if it was something that needed to go into storage or if it was just junk. I don't know what I was expecting, but inside the box, there was a photo album, a trash bag, and a black leather bag. The album just had my name plus Lee's written on the cover, so I thought it'd be something sweet, because Lee has a tendency to gift me sentimental things, but no. The album was full of intimate pictures of myself, all of them marked with dates and a short journal-like entry. The first one was from our first time when we were teens, and the latest one was marked from the night I surprised him with my pregnancy announcement. Most of the pictures are poor quality, but some are clearly of me sleeping after we had bedroom intimacy. These journal entries talk about how he ranks each experience and his favorite part of it, like some weird logbook. Inside the bags were some of my old intimate clothes, and even some old razors and hairbrushes. I don't know why on earth he keeps them, but he has 2 bags full. I don't know how, or what, to do. I mean, is this normal behavior? Is this some twisted form of romance on his part? A part of me feels like I shouldn't feel as disgusted as I am, but this violates my own boundaries since I explicitly told him in the past that I was against sending or giving him any intimate photos. What do I do? I love my husband, but I'm not sure how to confront him about this. Update 5 months later. So I'm not sure if anyone cares, but while I didn't reply to any of the comments, I did end up talking with my husband about this just a few days ago. I'm not going to lie, I wanted to just act like I didn't see anything and go on with my happy life, but after giving birth to my baby girl about a month and a half ago, I guess the stress and everything added up, and I let it slip during an argument. I don't remember all that was said, but I was exhausted, and my husband, while he's been super helpful, taking over the household chores and helping out with our baby girl, had just been getting on my nerves. I sort of exploded on him in a way I'm not proud of. Worst of all, he wasn't even doing anything wrong. All he had been doing was reminiscing about how I used to make a Sims family of us when I was in uni, and how creepy it was. He said it endearingly. I don't really know why I got so mad, but I basically said something along the lines of how he's the creepy one because he has a secret stash of stuff hidden from me. I felt really bad because he got all pale and went quiet, and then he sort of said he needed space and went to blow off some steam at the shooting range, which he does a lot when he needs to think, so I didn't question it. He came back home around dinner and said he was ready to talk. I asked him about all of the things I found, especially the photos. I reminded him again that I never agreed to making pics like that of any sort, and he apologized and agreed to burn them. Apparently, our history goes back further than even I knew, as he recounted that we actually met before high school. I had no idea, but his mom, who's a divorce attorney, was the very same one my mom used when she separated from her first husband, not my dad. I called my mom afterward to confirm, and she told me it was true, but she and my mother-in-law never told me because my mom's divorce was messy and she hates talking about it. Anyway, back to the first meeting. My mother-in-law often had Lee hang out around her office after school, and it was during one of these days that my mom had to take me with her to speak with my mother-in-law in person. Lee was actually the boy I played with in the waiting room. I can't believe he remembered that, because I totally forgot it. So, according to him, that first meeting was the day he knew I was special. Lee told me that while he had tried to pass it off as a crush, it never really went away as he got older. This led him to look into his mom's case files. In my state, attorneys have to keep them for 7 years, and he found my mom on Facebook, then my dad in her friends list, and managed to find my first and last name in order to find my Instagram. He convinced his parents to let him transfer from his private K-12 school to my public high school, using the excuse that they had a better athletics program, which isn't actually far-fetched since my high school was one of the best in the state for that, once he found out where I was going, thanks to my dumb self putting it in my bio. I thought that our meeting was a sheer coincidence and that we fell in love naturally, a classic sort of high school sweetheart story. But no, Lee had orchestrated it all. I took my daughter with me to stay with my mom and stepdad, while Lee agreed to stay home and let me think. I spoke to my mom, as well as my mother-in-law and father-in-law. Lee's parents are not happy with him, in all honesty, and my mother-in-law is especially mad because of client confidentiality. My mom gave me some good advice. She suggested I reflect on whether Lee had displayed any other red flag behaviors. I can honestly say that no, he hadn't, but since I know I'm biased, I asked my friends and those close to me if they noticed anything. So far, everything else about Lee seems to check out. I've never felt endangered by him, even when I told him I needed some distance for a few days. I want to make this marriage work, but is this something that therapy can fix? Up in the comments. Hi, this is really late for a reply, and I'm sorry about that. I wasn't ready to acknowledge it for a long time. Lee told me that he didn't mean anything by it and just wanted to have a keepsake collection of some memorable moments we shared. But he did acknowledge that he knew it was wrong and apologized, and he promised me he'd get rid of the pictures by burning them. Update 2 1 month later. Lee and I have since been going to couples counseling, and he's also attending individual therapy. After the drama that happened a few months ago, he had a come-to-Christ moment where he realized that the way he had been obsessing over the idea of me wasn't the same as a healthy love. We spent a few weeks apart so he could work on himself, and he turned over his devices, passwords, and accounts to me so that I could go through them and calm my worries because I was really anxious about the explicit photos. Since then, though, we're back in our house with our baby girl, and our marriage is back on track and better for it. Commenter. Yeah, that last little update sounds like when Joe would text and post from people's phones. Has anyone checked their basement for a glass cage?